My name is Ashley Taylor, and today we'll be discussing home video from Chapter 17 of our text for Communications 532. When I think of home video, my mind immediately goes back to memories as a child of popping in the VHS player my favorite videos, which included Cinderella, Peter Pan, Beauty and the Beast, and Thumbelina. Well, today my movie nights are spent flipping through Netflix, trying to figure out which show I want to watch next, Burn Notice or Leverage. Well, home video has dramatically changed throughout the years since commercial television began in 1941 after being approved by the Federal Communication Commission. The programming on July 1st of that year included a baseball game between the Brooklyn Dodgers and Philadelphia Phillies, the first legal television commercial for Below the Watches, and the first TV quiz show called Uncle B. So why should we study home video? Well, according to the Nielsen Company, there are 99% of U.S. homes as of 2013 that have at least one television set, demonstrating home video affects nearly all of us. It's also interesting to note to see where the technology started off and where that technology is headed now. It's also interesting to see that between November of 2007 and November of 2011, 55% of households purchased a high-definition TV. The fact that families were shelling out money for a TV, even during a national recession when they were cutting back on eating out, shopping, and out-of-home entertainment, shows us just how important home video is to many people. So let's start off talking about the technology that led up to the creation and ability to deliver home video. To start off, we want to consider the three general means of getting TV reception into our homes. Number one, by air. This is the airborne transmission of electromagnetic signals captured by the receivers in our TVs. Number two, by conduit. This is the transmission of television signals through wire cables to paying subscribers. And number three, by hand. This is advances in technology, including VCRs, DVDs, and Blu-ray discs that allow us to have some control over the videos that come into our homes. When TV stations first began broadcasting in 1941, there were two commercial TV stations, including an NBC and CBS station, that still exist today. World War II put a halt on further TV development, and at that time, there were only 6 TV stations broadcasting. After the war, the large number of requests streaming into the FCC for TV stations to broadcast on the air and the complications that resulted from trying to provide enough airwaves for broadcast initiated a freeze on TV stations. Now, that freeze was lifted in 1952, and the FCC made a decision to add UHF, or ultra-high frequency bandwidth. This allowed more room for more stations to broadcast. In 1953, color TV was added into the picture. However, it was important that color TV transmissions were still compatible with black and white TVs because, like in the introduction of UHF, people could not afford to just run out and buy a new TV every time technology improved. Now, this is called reverse compatibility, and it's defined as the ability to be compatible with previous technology, and it plays a major role in the adoption of a new technology. Moving on to reception by conduit. The second way that developed in 1949 to deliver video into our homes was the transmission of television signals through wire cables, known as cable TV. Cable television was originally developed for communities who couldn't receive traditional over-the-air broadcasts, maybe because of the terrain of the land or because they were too far from a nearby city that had a television station. And at first, cable television programming included only over-the-air broadcasting. In the 1970s, cable began to offer many new channels, including news, weather, movies, sports, and audience-specific programming, which expanded home video options. Today, less than 10% of families receive TV from traditional over-the-air broadcasting only. But we can see from this chart that the 4 most popular broadcast stations are CBS, NBC, ABC, and Fox. The percentage of viewers drastically surpasses the top 4 cable channels of ESPN, TBS, USA, and TNT. And now reception by hand. When TV was first developed, it came into our homes over the airwaves or by cable wire, and the programs we watched were either broadcast live or they were pre-recorded on film. So the third way to deliver videos into our homes was through a progression of technical advancements that permitted TV signals to be recorded on mediums controlled by us. Now, this technology began in 1956 when Ampex developed magnetic videotape to record the television programs being broadcast. This machine cost $50,000, and this first hour-long videotape probably weighed about 30 pounds and was played on a machine the size of a refrigerator. 10 years later, Sony produced an open-reel videotape recorder that gave way in 1969 to the video cassette recorder, or VCR, which no longer required threading the tape through the machine. These early video cassettes were very costly, and they only held a very short recording time, so they were developed further in 1977 to the more practical videotapes I remember from my childhood. A competition of price and formatting ensued between two major companies. So we're talking about Sony with Betamax and JVC with VHS. Betamax was the first on the market in 1975, but the cost of their recorders and the decreased length of recording time on the Betamax tapes were the determining factors that led to VHS winning over Betamax. In 1986, 40% of U.S. homes had at least one VCR. By 2006, the FCC estimated that 90% of television households have at least one VCR, which really validates the popularity of VHS tapes. Now, VCRs were the first technological development to really give consumers some control over the delivery of home video. Consumers could record select television programming or go rent specific videos rather than having to be glued to that TV for a broadcast-specific time. Now, Universal Studios sued Sony, the maker of Betamax VCRs, stating recording off the air of copyrighted television programming by private individuals without permission of the copyright owner was an infringement of the law. In his testimony in hearings before the U.S. House of Representatives, Mr. Jack Valenti, president of the Motion Picture Association of America, testified, "I say to you that the VCR is to the American film producer and the American public as the Boston Strangler is to the woman home alone." That sounds like a little Hollywood drama. Well, the case went all the way to the Supreme Court, which ruled that the making of individual copies of complete television shows for the purpose of time shifting does not constitute copyright infringement, nor does it diminish the market for the product when its fair use. Rather than being the death of the film producer, as Mr. Valenti suggested, videotape sales benefited the entertainment industry through the sale of pre-recorded movies, and it brought in huge new revenue. With the video cassette recorders and VHS tapes also came the capability for consumer recording of every piano recital, every birthday party, and the opening of every Christmas present out there, which I will definitely spare you from having to watch. My dad has used cameras to film me since the day I was born, and I'm sure that played a role in my decision to go into news broadcasting right after college. Well, cameras have seen a huge transition throughout the years. It's gone from this huge camcorder that followed me all around throughout my childhood to a smaller camcorder, and now we are using cell phones to capture all of our video. Now, the sales of VCRs and VHS tapes really took a nosedive as we saw the introduction in 1997 of the DVD, because it was smaller, it was lighter, and it was a lot more durable than VHS tapes. June 12, 2009 marks the official date that TV stations made the transition from analog to digital broadcasting. Our textbook states that this was the biggest change in television standards since the introduction of electronic television in 1945. Since the transition took place during an economic recession, one would think that they would have waited until another time to go out and buy a new HD TV, but sales went up even during the tough times. So as more and more people spend money on new HD TVs, we're seeing trends that more people are spending time on the couch. We've seen an upward climb since about 1998 in the number of hours of TV watched every day. Women have gone from 4.5 hours to 5.5 hours a day, and men are right behind them at 4 hours, increasing to 5 per day over the past few years. And since more adults are spending time in front of the TV, that means the kids are right there with them. According to this chart from our book, in 2004, 46% of 9-year-olds spent at least 3 hours on a school night watching TV, and that number is on the climb, with 54% in 2008. For the record, not in my parents' household. Well, if you're considering buying a new TV, you might want to consider the 2013 Consumer Electronics Association guidelines before you make that big purchase. So here are some helpful tips. Number one, you want to size up your room. Select a screen that fits. You want to measure the distance from TV to your sitting position, and then you want to divide that number by 2 and then by 3 to get an ideal screen size range. For example, if the distance is going to be 8 feet or 96 inches, divide 96 by 2, you get 48, or you divide 96 by 3 and you get 32 inches. So you might want to purchase a 32-inch or a 48-inch TV set. Number 2, you want to focus on the features. You want to see if it's 3D ready or capable. Make sure you have all the inputs you could possibly need. You want to have on-screen help as well as broadband connectivity. Internet access is so much faster than dial-up. And you want to make sure that you've got apps or interactive applications available on the TV screen. This could include news, weather, sports, social networking apps like Facebook and Twitter. And then multimedia playback. You want to be able to display your digital photos and your videos from your new TV. Number 3, you want to select your image quality. How important is resolution in your decision? Well, every photograph in digital form is made up of pixels. The more pixels the TV has, the better the picture. Number 4, select a display type. So you've got several to choose from. Plasma, which are good for home theater and gaming systems. LCD, which are really good for brighter rooms. They can also consume a lot less power. LED, they are typically brighter screens, and they show up more accurate colors and maybe consume less power. And then DLP. These are often used in projection TVs because of the vivid colors that it shows. And number 5, you want to include essential extras. Be sure you've got everything you need to receive a signal and integrate your new TV into your home entertainment system. So you want to check for the mount. Are you going to hang it on the wall? You want to make sure you've got an antenna, be able to pull in those local HD stations. You also want a universal remote. You don't want to have 5 remotes sitting around your living room. And then the audio-visual cable so that you can connect your equipment and get the best picture possible. Furniture you might want to think about, whether you're going to have a TV stand or if you're going to have theater seating. And then you want to make sure you've got 3D accessories. Some factors that we want to keep an eye on throughout the next coming years. We want to see the continued development of the monitor. 3D TV has really not taken off with consumers as expected or hoped, but according to CNET, 3D TV is a chicken without an egg. The missing egg is content, meaning that there's not enough 3D programming to watch. Plus, you've got to wear the glasses and get a 3D Blu-ray player for a source of content. Number 2, smart TVs. This has to do with interactive television. There is no industry standard for smart TVs, but they are all capable of getting on the internet, and they have varying apps that give one-touch access to services. And then number 3, you've got the 4K Ultra HD TV. This is the latest and the greatest with 4 times as much detail with 8 million pixels compared to 2 million in a standard HD television. So a Sony 65-inch 4K TV is going to cost about $3,500. There are also more choices in the delivery of home video. So the goal is really anywhere, anytime, any format video. Number 1 is time-shifted content. We want what we want when we want it. And with the ease of availability of Amazon Prime, Hulu, and Netflix, they've enabled us to watch television shows and movies on demand. It's also led to the term binge watching. This is watching television for a long time span, such as several episodes of the same TV show in one sitting. The use of this term exploded in 2013 when Netflix started releasing multiple episodes of shows at one time. A co-worker of mine has been known to stay up all night just to be able to watch the next series of 24. Another example of time-shifted content is catch-up programming. This is when consumers use online media to see old shows they've missed, and the time-shifted content is meeting the consumer's desire for video delivery anytime. Internet viewing is the delivery system that is maximizing the anywhere, anytime, any format demands of the 21st century viewer. According to Nielsen, Americans on average own 4 digital devices, and they consume about 60 hours a week of content. All of these digital devices are enabling consumers to access video content anytime, anywhere, and with any format. So we've seen the progression of how home video started off and throughout history. We've seen the trends of increased time spent in front of the TV. Now I'd like to encourage you to explain your philosophy of home video that you've set for yourself and your family, and then support it with Scripture.